I've been quiet for a minute, I've been grinding, still in it, I've been counting these digits. Excuse me, I know I've been quiet for a minute, but I'm back on my business. If you see me, don't trip, just excuse me. Wrong if I do, wrong if I don't. That's why I do me no matter what, so excuse me. Lie if I do, lie if I don't. The proof is in the story, take a seat and excuse me. The crash came when the cash came. Spend it for you get it like those rookies all on draft day. For the love like it's match game. Hit the ground running, really do it for my last name. They act different when the facts change. I'm not with the tip for tag games. In my own league I don't chase game. In my own league I don't hang with lanes. I know I've been quiet for a minute, I've been grinding, still in it, I've been counting these digits. Excuse me, I know I've been quiet for a minute, but I'm back on my business. If you see me, don't trip, just excuse me. Wrong if I do, wrong if I don't. That's why I do me no matter what, so excuse me. Lie if I do, lie if I don't. The proof is in the story, take a seat and excuse me. Now how could that be? Talking about who can be talking about me. Feeling like stretch where I got all this reach. Feeling too blessed when I step on these beats.
All right. Welcome everybody. We here. Everybody is in a new place. We back again.
Yay.
We had to take a little time off. We got Ronan is back. He's gonna need therapy because he is far away in the Philippines now. He is.
I'm all by my lonesome.
So he enjoying herself. We got the lovely Miss Georgia back from her hiatus of vacation. And we back at it again.
Oh man, yeah.
Mother's Day has just passed, so since we couldn't do nothing last week, we got to give some women their flowers this week.
Yeah, some women, yes.
I like how you did that.
You like that, don't you? Yeah,
I do. So I had a beef to pick with y'all.
Right.
Okay.
So
is this part of the reason why you picked this topic today?
It is. Well, so
take that overlay off because her face, her old hair hitting in front of her new hair.
Okay. Oh man. We got to have another picture because even my clients have been saying something about my photo on my page. So not here, but
you got to give me better pictures. That's all you gave us so far.
And that's the only one you could steal off of my Facebook page, Fearless.
Everyone else was like this. You got pictures of me like this. It don't show your face. You be taking them close-ups.
Oh,
I was like, well, I sent it to Ronan. I said, pick a picture. He's like, man, every face is like a close-up.
Yeah, and then I know how you women are, man. Y'all could get upset over the wrong picture. We could have a ton of pictures, and you might particularly like one picture, but the one we pick is the one that's all effed up in your mind. So I don't even want to do that.
If you got off of my page, and it was one that it was approved by me and posted by me. So I just that one is like, okay, I could have done better. Anyway, my bone to pick with y'all.
Okay, here we go.
So, over the past few months, that I've been doing this with you all, several shows in, I started to feel some type of way with no matter what subject we were on, you all managed to go to just the horrendous Black women that are on this planet. And it's okay. Can I finish?
Yep.
So that was difficult for me because the women that you all are referring to, those are not the women in my circle. And so it became very difficult for me to sit here and yes, those women exist, but they're not all women. There's some pretty amazing women out there. And I feel like this show has an opportunity to be something different and uplift Black women. But I feel like it's used as an opportunity to bash Black women. And I don't like it. I don't like it because I'm Black at the end of the day.
So are we. Don't let the color fool you.
So I have a question with that. How do you feel about this new thing that's out there called Black fatigue?
You have to educate me.
All right. It's basically where white people are saying we are tired of the chronic. I'll read it. Black fatigue refers to the state of chronic exhaustion and emotional distress experienced by Black individuals as a result of systematic racism. So white people are saying, we tired of listening to y'all about it. Y'all become the victim. Y'all can say the N-word. We can't. We just tired even hearing about all of it.
Gosh, imagine being Black.
Imagine being a man. See how I put that reverse psychology? I only say that because you can see it from a Black person. If I was a white person, I'm saying, why are you always talking about this racial stuff? Why are you always talking about race stuff and this stuff? And you would hear it and you'd be like, because I'm Black and this is what I deal with. But when you say it about a man, when he's like, you're tired of hearing what he talks about when it comes to women, the problem is you're seeing it from a woman perspective. You're not seeing it from the man's perspective. Just like Black people aren't seeing it from a white person's perspective. When they're saying, man, all y'all do is talk about Black and racism and this. And I'm only saying that to play devil's advocate on that.
So we can't help being Black. I mean, we just are. But women who choose to be trifling, that's a choice. And not all women are trifling. Not all women are hood rats. Not all women have 3 baby daddies. Not all women abuse their men. Not all women have an issue with allowing their men to lead. So there's I understand that this exists. There's trifling Black men out there. But every single show, I don't care what topic it is, we wind up going back to how horrible Black women are.
We're going to try to enlighten some women that we admire, that we look up to, and that we say, man, these are the women and the representation that other women should look up to and strive to be like. That was what I pulled from. So that's what I'm hoping to do.
In the direction I went into.
Okay, so I am eager to hear the Black women that you all admire. I'm so eager.
You want to go first, Ronan, or we want to dive off?
I don't mind going first. I got a little video. She's very popular. She's a senator here in our great state of Texas, 30th district. She's really putting up some smoke in the Senate and challenging the status quo. She is not somebody that's quiet, and she speaks on facts. So here's the first person I think that deserves some flowers for the Black community as a Black woman. And here you go. Let's play her.
Racism in the Republican Party, it has to do with things like deleting the history of Jackie Robinson, deleting the history of Harriet Tubman, or deciding that the Tuskegee Airmen should be deleted, or maybe just defunding the African American Museum. The list kind of goes on and on and on, but I am not here to talk about why they are racist. I am here to talk about some other things as it relates to immigration. So let's get to that. It's interesting because we got all these theories. I don't know why we put up with getting data and facts if we just gonna sit here and talk about how we feel. So, maybe we can inject some facts into these feelings. I'm not really sure. But as somebody who has actually practiced criminal defense, I don't know if there's anybody else in here who has. I can tell you that I have handled thousands of cases, not hundreds of cases, thousands on the state level in Texas, Arkansas, and the federal level. And I can tell you that, you know what? If I had to look at the vast majority of the cases that I was representing criminal defendants on, the vast majority of them just didn't happen to be immigrants. These are just the facts of my experience, and maybe the immigrants went to somebody else. I don't know. But I can tell you in my actual experience, in real life, in reality, and not in this fallacy world that y'all are making up where you hate on everybody. So my Republican colleagues are here using today to continue pushing this false narrative of sanctuary cities harboring criminals. Yet right here in D.C., we have a 34-count felon being harbored in the White House. The hypocrisy coming from your side of the aisle over concerns regarding lawlessness is outrageous. Right now, House Republicans are conducting town halls with.
That's enough. That's all that needs to be said. For what she has done for the Black community, standing up to the status quo. There's a phrase I use, all the time in all the different panels I've ever sat on. To be silent is to be complicit. That is one woman that honors who she is as a Black woman and what is right, morally, ethically, and everything else, and speaks to it in spite of whoever she feels might be in power. So Jasmine Crockett definitely gets flowers from me.
All right. Jasmine gets her flowers. Happy Mother's Day, Jasmine. Well, I'm gonna give my flower my first.
But she's still a Black woman that gets flowers.
Oh no. I'm gonna give my flowers to a lady who, let's see, how can I say it? She has to deal with every woman saying they want her man. Took a back seat, raised children that were actually admire her. And the fact that when she talks about their first date, well, I'll let her tell you about their first date, because I admire her because a lot of women wouldn't have went on a second date. That's the difference.
First date together?
Yeah. She remembers our first date together.
I remember
because what happened?
I paid for the ride.
I know you was gonna say that. You didn't pay for the date though.
I didn't.
What happened?
Well, because no.
Go ahead.
When we went to a party, there was nothing to pay for after we got there.
So we took a cab, and I'm paying for the cab ride, but then I'm watching the meter, and I'm running out of money. And
he turns to me and says, "I have no money."
I didn't say.
You turned to me. Oh, I can remember. I see where I am. I was right behind the driver.
Okay, and what happened?
I paid for it.
You paid the whole thing?
Yes. And it was back in the days where the cab drivers had the libbies.
Sounds like Spike was right.
And I've been paying ever since.
I always say that I don't really hear a lot of women building with men. And it's nice to see someone who went out on a date. He didn't even have enough money to pay for the cab. And he's like, look, if this cab don't stop right, you looking at the meter. And he's like, look, every time this thing tick, I ain't got no money. We're going to have to stop right here. And so you had a woman who was in Paulette, Washington, in her own right, is a great on stage. So she's an actress that's been on stage, that she set aside her career to help raise her children. And she took ego out of it. As a woman who said, I can pay for the cab. I enjoy this date. I think a woman like that deserves it. This, because what she got out of it, how many other women wouldn't want to be in her shoes to say, man, I married a man who was voted, sexiest man alive, who's done movies, who's done it all. And she was able to say, you know what, I can pay for a cab. And just imagine if she said, I'm not going to pay for it. It's the last date. The opportunity that is missed with that. Want some loving.
Okay.
So we're gonna take a break and we're gonna let you assess our first two choices of women.
I mean, those are two great choices. Let me get this big old monster off of my lap. She thinks she's a puppy. The first lady, I've heard of her, but I'm not. I try to stay as far away from politics as possible because it's just nauseating.
She's the one who called the woman
I know. That's one of the reasons I'm familiar with her. Butch body. What did she say? That was awesome.
Something crazy.
It was awesome. But Paulette, yes, that is one of the ladies that I mean, she's a strong African-American woman, definitely supportive of her husband, has been there from the very beginning, similar to Michelle Obama.
Ooh, no. Not like Michelle Obama.
I know you don't. And so it's interesting because there's a lot of similarities between Paulette and Michelle Obama.
No.
Michelle Obama was with Barack, but when he had absolutely nothing.
The problem is, and I did a video on this, and I think I stated this before. If I'm married to you and every morning I wake up and I feel like I have to cook for you, it's a different feeling than when your wife wakes up and cooks because she loves you. And I say that to say this. When I seen the interview of Michelle Obama, And all she said was how much she regretted with him going to the White House, that she regretted that she put her thing aside, that she felt that the fact that he could live his life and she had to breastfeed her children, and she wished that sometimes it wouldn't have happened, and that she could not put her pride aside to when Trump came into office to meet with him. Because what happens is she's the same person that said, when they go low, we go high, and that the office of the presidency means more than an individual. But when it came to her, she couldn't put it aside. She made it about her. She made the fact that she had a jealousy or didn't like somebody, so she went low when everybody else went low.
What are you referring to?
When Trump got inaugurated, she skipped it.
Okay, you guys, please get off of it. The thing is,
you asked me why I didn't like.
Okay, I get it. But the thing is, you all have you took one interview and have shredded her to pieces. You took her not attending the inauguration. She has never said why she didn't attend.
Yes, she did. She said on the on her live stream.
Can you find that,
please?
Mm-hmm.
Let's not address this right now because we're supposed to be doing flowers. I don't want to bring up a woman that neither one of us have put on our list to give flowers to.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Let's not do that. Let's stay on our
Jimmy
point.
Carter's funeral. That's what I think.
Let's stay on our point of the women that we feel like.
So now we got to stay on task. Any other show we can kind of go all over.
Wait. Didn't you ask us to stay?
I did.
That we wanted to.
Okay, so who else do you all have?
Okay.
You want to go next, or you want me to go next?
I mean,
you went first last time. I'll go first this time.
Yes. You go next.
See
how we worked that out, George?
I'll go with her because I love her.
23 years ago, I'm doing a play, and a friend of mine said, "Why don't you have a man?" And I said, "I don't know." "Well, have you prayed for a man?" I said, "No, I haven't, because if I pray to God, he's going to say, 'Viola, who are you?'" I hadn't been in church for the longest time. He said, "This is what I want you to do. You know what you want, right? So get down on your knees. You ask God for everything." I went back in my room. I thought about it for about 5 minutes, and I got down on my knees. And I said, "This is what I want. I want a big black man from the South. I want him to be country. I want him to love you, to already have been married, had children, so he don't put any pressure on me to do that. I love football players, God. If you give me all of that, I promise I'll go to church." 3.5 weeks later, I met Julius William Tenen.
Oh my God.
An ex-football player from Texas, raised his 2 children on his own, an actor, and the first thing he did was he invited me to church.
I love Viola because one, she put herself to say, you know what, this is exactly what I want. It wasn't about family. She could be with a man who already had a ready-made family, who was already supportive for his children. And her expectations were just, you didn't hear nothing about, oh, he got to make this much money. He got to do this. It was, I want a church-going man, who is there for me. Simple. And in that, it still didn't mess with her career. You see her in movies, you see her doing everything. So at no time does it seem like her popularity stifled her career. So I like a woman who can still be who she is, pray for the man she wants. And when she finds him, because a lot of times women pray for that man and he came and went because they needed something else and something else and something else. Where she said, this is exactly what I'm looking for. And I found him. Viola Davis.
I'm impressed so far.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You ready for mine?
Sure.
All right. So I'm just going to put a picture of her up here for everybody to see.
Oh, man, Monique. I got her too. She coming up.
Monique is my girl too. So she's from Baltimore, Maryland, or Maryland itself. I'm from Maryland. Good-hearted woman, very down to earth, very open-minded. A lot of people in 2006, when she first met her husband, Sydney, Actually, they were old high school sweethearts, and they came back around. 2006, they've been married. A lot of people ridiculed her for the fact that she allowed her husband to lead her. She allows her husband to be in an open relationship to where they can have multiple partners. She's open-minded when it comes to that. And she will allow a man to be where he needs to be. So while she's famous and has all the money that she can possibly have, this man is nowhere equal to her in value when it comes to his financial background. But she believes in the structure of a marriage. She believes in the structure of placing a man as the head. She even got on not Ocho Cinco, but what's the brother's name that has the
Shay Shay?
Shay Shay. She got on Shay Shay show and told him everything that he was doing wrong and some of the things he needed to open himself up to. Again, morally, ethically, you might say she's a little skewed with the open relationship. You know, that's the land of the law, not necessarily the land that God, the law that God put down. You know, so I commend her and I give her roses for being an upstanding Black woman that stands behind her man and allows him to lead no matter what position she is in life, as far as financially. So my choice is Monique.
You know, and I'm actually very impressed.
Before you do that, before you call him impressed, I'm gonna lead with it and we can talk about Monique.
You got another video?
Yeah.
And a lot of Black women would say, why do you call him daddy? Because he's raising me. He's raising me. My father probably stopped giving me what I needed when I was around 13 years old. So now you got a woman that's 13 and now I'm 35 and now I got a bunch of money, what we consider to be a bunch of money. Let me just be real clear about that, okay? Now I got this money. Now I'm taking care of everybody. Who gonna check me, boo? Who gonna make me grow up? But when that man, when we were just best friends and when we got together, this is what he said to me. He said, when we were best friends and you were married to other men, you were not my responsibility. You were my sister, but not my responsibility. As my wife, you are my responsibility. And there are certain things that.
The reason I like her is a few places where she said, I think in our society, a lot of times we think success and the money we make puts us somewhere. And she said, I had this money. Who gonna check me? Because a lot of, especially in our Black women, they get that money and think, I can't be checked. I'm beyond that. And she said, no, I want a man to come in and do the leadership role. I want him to come into my life because I've known him so long that I know he's not going to steer me wrong. He was a great friend and he's going to allow me to grow and teach me to grow. A lot of times we get into relationships and think we know everything. And then when you get with someone and say, no, you really, when they say, there's a term they use for it, arrested development. You get to an age and you just stop growing. And he's saying, no, I'm going to show you how to grow beyond that 13-year-old mentality. I'm going to take you from a girl into a woman and still let her be who she is. And with all the power that she has, she says, I'm trusting his word to be somewhere. So I respect Monique because no matter what's going down, she calls out to her manager and says, hey, no, this is my manager, even though he's my husband. If he don't approve it, we don't approve it. And it lets me know that you can still be, and I'm going to let Cheryl Underwood say, I'm going to say a little bit of it, that we think if you're the breadwinner, that makes you the boss. And she undermines that because just because you make money, and I tell people this all the time, just because you make money, a woman can still be in her feminine. And just because a man doesn't make as much money, he can still be in his masculine. And I think we lose that to say, oh, I make more money than you. And now I'm the woman becomes more masculine and I'm the man. and vice versa, where a man doesn't feel as good because maybe he's doing a blue collar job and his wife is doing a white collar job. And it's like, well, I'm not making as much as her. But that's still the man. That's the man I admire to say, I can still take care of my family. And the woman that I admire to say, I can still be a great wife to my husband.
All
So
right, Georgia.
what we swinging at?
Yeah, how we swinging right now?
I mean, I'm impressed. Now, I will say, I'm really impressed with the choice of Monique because she is so outspoken. But I can see how you all chose her because she is submissive in her relationship. She allows her husband to lead, and I think that's amazing. Unfortunately,
I think you dumbfounded right now because you weren't expecting this from us. I think
no, I was not. I was expecting for y'all to pull up Harriet Tubman. I didn't know what y'all were doing. So I'm very impressed because all three of these women that you picked so far are amazing, strong Black women. So I'm just, yeah.
Look at she giddy over there.
I am. This is the first time this has ever happened. So I soaking it all in.
Oh man.
Rona, you got somebody else?
Of course I do.
All right.
Hold on 1 second. I need to pull up something real quick. I think I lost it. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the person, and I'm sure you guys are gonna instantly know who she is and her husband and the family itself. So let me set everybody off to the side here. Hit my next person. Holly Robinson Peete.
Oh yeah.
Married to the baseball player Rodney Peete. Been married for decades. I think over 30 years now. Plus. Longevity in a relationship. They work together. They form foundations together. Autism is one of them because I think they have an autistic son. And just an all-around, well-rounded family that support each other, whether one person is up or down. Rodney Peete had gone through certain things in his life, health-wise, financially. She stepped in to do what she needed to do. He supported her in her career. So together as a family unit, a nuclear family, positivity wise, I've never heard this woman say a negative thing about a brother, her relationship, what's going on in their family. She's always been a positive light to anybody that wants to look at her as an example for what a positive Black woman in a marriage can do when you work together. So the flowers I give to her or basically what I look for in a family. I would love to have a family where I've been together with a woman for 30 years. I see my sons and my daughters standing next to us in this picture like this and know that we have been stable and rock solid. Whether we were up or down, we supported each other. That's the perfect look to a relationship and a marriage to me. So she gets her flowers for that.
You don't hear no scandal from her. She was an actor. She was doing that. And then it's kind of like you don't hear any type of scandal, nothing. It's just she was fine at being who she was. Did she? What's her name now?
Holly Robinson
Peete.
21
there we go.
Street.
No, I know her name. I just wanted to point something out. See how she changed her last name? A lot of women get to a certain position and say, "Oh, I'm not changing."
Okay, don't lean to the bashing side. Let's keep it positive.
Oh, yeah.
He can't help it.
No, I like the fact that she changed the name.
She hyphenated her name. She didn't change her name. She hyphenated her name.
Well, partly she's an actress too, so I get why she's trying to keep that name for the branding. But go ahead and what's your next person?
Cheryl Underwood. Let's go, Cheryl. Come on, boo boo.
I'm not the breadwinner in the relationship. You mean any man I'm with?
Yeah.
I'm not the breadwinner in the relationship.
But would you be okay if you were?
I'm not. There's no man I know from you or he got a regular job. He work at a warehouse. He is the head of the household. He is the breadwinner. I will chip in as he see fit because he's the head. Now, this is the way I was raised. A lot of women not gonna agree with me.
No, they ain't gonna agree with that.
I'm cool if you don't. But even if I make more money, it doesn't make me the breadwinner.
Sure, you know, like the breadwinner, you know, he has normally, that person has the larger voice in the relationship.
He's a man. He's going to have, this is what
But what
I
if you got the money, you making the money?
No, this is what I believe.
Okay.
I believe I am advice and concurrence. He is the head of the household. I want to make his life better and easier, but I'm not the head of the household, even if I have access to more money.
I love that, because what she did was she still allowed the man to be the man, and she did not undermine him, because she understands that she is, most of the men she's going to meet, just because of who she is, she's probably going to be the breadwinner in a sense, the person who brings in more money. But that still does not make her the head of the household, because as a good woman, she would choose a man to say, you know, we think as men, women really choose the leaders. In any group of people, you choose your leader. And so what she's saying is, I've chosen this man to lead me, and by doing so, he's in his rightful place. I'm down with that. I am down with that.
All right, Georgia, what's your opinion of our choices now?
I keep going, because there is something I'd like to.
Go ahead. No, I mean, this is your turn.
Well, I want to wait, because I want to see else. I want to see who else you all have.
Oh, there might be a theme to it. So I'll go next. I got two things for her. She has two. So let me play the first one and I'll play the second.
Foot one bottle of Valium. I don't care what you do. You can't rattle him. You can't make him raise his voice. You can't upset him. He's just cool. I mean, I can do the most bizarre stuff and he'll just kind of look at me. But he won't do nothing. You can count on him. He could hold me by the ankle over a cliff and I wouldn't worry, because he's that brother. One time I was going through a thing and I called him up in the middle of the day and working, and I said, babe, things ain't right here. And he came home and stood there. Didn't say that, he didn't know what to say. Talking, and I'm telling, and I'm crying, and this and that. And he stayed until I said, okay, I'm fine. He said, if you need me again, I'll come back. That brother.
But let me continue what she said about it.
We're too much on the labels these days. You know, we've got simps and pick-me's, and I was on a conversation about my marriage at one point, and I talked about how my husband had 4 kids, and he had just gotten divorced, so his finances were crazy, and I had no debt, no kids, no problems, had money in the bank, and I married him, and someone called me a pick-me because I didn't get a high-value man or didn't engage in hypergamy. And then once we got married, instead of him setting the purpose and the dream, he realized that, man, her purpose and her dream is gonna get both of us further. So he practically shut down his shop to help me become a judge, and then he went across the country to allow me to be on TV, and dropped his practice. So yeah, maybe I was a pick-me, and maybe he's a simp. But given the way things turned out, I'm simply glad he picked me. And you would be too.
I love what she said. And no, she is seen. I've never even, I couldn't, if her husband was in a lineup, I couldn't pick him out. I wouldn't know who he was. And every part she gave accolades to some man. A lot of times we say, oh, you'll pick me, or you could do better. And I think what happens is we get on those labels. And like she said, those labels didn't matter. I mean, if you looked at her husband probably on paper, 4 kids out of a divorce, he wouldn't be, and probably don't make as much money as her. He would not be the man that someone like her would probably marry. And she says, I'm good like that, because no matter what, the type of man I was looking for in this woman, as a woman, I could argue with him. I could fight with him. I could do all of these things. I could tell him to come home, and I just argue, and he never lost his composure. And it's good to see a woman who says, all of that Hollywood stuff, I don't really mean nothing. What really meant was how he stood by me, that we went all the way across the country to help out my career. He set his pride aside to help me out. And in no time, by doing so, did she demean him. I love a woman who says, I'm proud of what I got. Y'all might not like it, and maybe it didn't fit in your box, but I'm proud of that. And so, every time I see her on TV, you see how strong she is, a strong-willed woman. And I think a part of her judgment when she is a judge comes from that, from her stability, when she can say, well, why ain't y'all together? Why ain't y'all doing this? So her rationale and the way that she comes from and her point of view shows her strong stability, even when making judgments from the bench.
Nice. I like that one. Yeah, I love Judge Lynn Told.
He passed away, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I'm gonna go ahead and highlight my last person. Ain't no video on her that I wanted to play. I just wanted to show the couple, talk about her for a minute.
Oh, man, why you stealing mine? I got a video on it. So
everybody knows who this woman is. Her and Courtney Vance have been together since 1994, got married in 1997. They're both in the movie industry. They're both actors. And for as long as they've been in this industry, and we know how disruptive that industry can be when it comes to longevity in relationships, they've been together well over 3 decades. No issues, no major things in the media. They've just been a happy couple off the camera. There's nothing on the camera for you to catch. No media stories, no nothing. This is a solid couple that I feel like have really disconnected themselves from their jobs when it comes to being in the movie and the media's eye for their popularity, the type of money they make, all the different things that disenfranchise relationships. They have not fell into one of these pitfalls at all. So I give Angela Bassett, because it's hard. I'm gonna give you this. It's hard for a woman to want to stand by her man, and some things when it's really could be a bad thing. I'm sure he had a run where he wasn't getting any jobs. It was Angela that was getting all the jobs, but that didn't stop them from having a solid relationship. So I don't think it's a competitive thing where, well, I got this job. I've been putting in this money for the last 10, 15 years. You haven't really worked type of thing that's going on in that household for them to stay solid like that. So I give my flowers to Angela Bassett for the longevity that she had with her husband, the calm demeanor that they have when they're in public. They're well-mannered, they're well-dressed, obviously, and I'm going to go ahead and let Fearless finish this up because he said he has a video. I'm going to let him finish.
My view of her and their relationship is a little bit different. So I'm going to hopefully Oprah lets me play this.
Courtney with at the Yale School of Drama. I do most definitely remember him.
I don't remember her at all, really.
He was tall-ish, dark, skinny, and just alluring.
I don't have a clue. I don't remember her at all.
They would meet again years later. Angela was in a play, and her co-star.
I'm just going to stop it so Oprah don't get me. So the thing is, when they met, she knew who he was, and he had no idea who the heck she was. He's like, oh, yeah. And one reason is he was faithful to a girlfriend.
Was Courtney's girlfriend.
I was not attracted to her at all during that time.
No thought of it. No thought, no inkling, no eyes, no twinkle, nothing, zip, zitch, nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Over the next decade, Courtney's career took him to Broadway, and Angela moved to LA, where she eventually landed her Oscar-nominated role in What's Love Got to Do with It?
I didn't run into Courtney and again until 1994. I was out with some friends, and he was too, and it was like, hey, great to see you.
Somehow, we ended up going on a date.
So we went out, and dare I say, it wasn't memorable.
Wow.
I'm going to keep going with it. But I just want you to show two Hollywood people. He really didn't like her and nothing special about the date. Boring. They call it boring. How many people go on a second date when the first date is so boring?
And I think that was because it was not a good date.
He just seemed like a really, really nice guy, which translated kind of boring. That was it. Wasn't going to give him a second thought.
And what is it about women, us, that when that happens to you, when you meet a man who's kind and gracious and nurturing and supportive, even you said it on the text, your first reaction was, boring.
So Oprah asked, why do women not like the boring man? I give Angela Bassett all of it because boring was okay. Boring was great. Boring was a man that was going to provide all the years, that was going to be, who she wanted to be. She didn't need somebody outlandish. Probably one reason she probably respected him was when he was dating his girlfriend, he didn't even pay her attention. So she knew from back then that if he was with someone, that's who he was with. He didn't have eyes for anyone else because he was faithful, and all those characteristics were okay. The boring was okay. And I think a lot of times we seek excitement. We seek, I want that feeling. Like she said, there was no tingle. There was no spark. There was nothing. And a lot of times we seek the tingle. And I can give my flowers to Angela Bassett to look beyond the tingle, to look beyond the first date, to see somebody she would be with for life. I could admire a woman that says, I'm in Hollywood, but I don't need Hollywood. I can do it boring because our lives probably in Hollywood would be exciting. And because of that, like you said, how long have they been married? Since 1997?
1997, almost 30 years.
Yep, 2 kids. I can admire a woman like Angela Bassett because as Tina would say, what's love got to do with it, baby? What's love got to do with it? It's just a secondhand emotion.
All right. We got one more. I know that Fearless has one more. I only had the 4. Fearless has one more loaded. I can see the name down there. I'm not going to say it out loud. I'm going to let you play it out. Georgia, do you want to comment now, or do you want to wait for the final one and then go?
I'll wait.
All right.
Okay.
So I'll play the first one. Well, no, let me see which one I'll play. They met in college. Together in college. One went to Spelman, one went to Morehouse. So black colleges. And she stuck with him through thick and thin. And she's just, we don't know her. And the reason I brought these people up are because they're famous in their own right, and they never took the shadow away from the other person they were with. She actually directed him in a movie that was recently done, which was The Piano. And she stayed with him through ups, downs, addictions, no money, nothing. So let's give our flowers out.
I'm right in saying you never proposed, Samuel.
Did I? Mixed up things. I want to hear this story. Go. You never proposed?
I don't remember. Well, I don't remember it actually. I do remember you having some invitations in your hand and saying this is when this is happening.
No, that's not what happened. No, I said my grandfather is very ill and he's going to die, and he's very concerned that we are not married. So we have to get married now so that he can walk me down the aisle. That was his concern, that I was the last of his grandchildren not to be walked down the aisle in marriage. So we have to get married. So now you have to ask him if you may marry me, and then you have to ask me, will I marry you? And you did.
I did?
Yes, you did. Okay, you know what? It doesn't matter.
But the wedding itself.
It was amazingly
That was the
romantic.
story.
It was all romantic. I got down on one knee and did the whole thing.
No, it was semantical, but you know, we did
I didn't
do
say
it.
semantical. I said romantic.
Now I like that because we all know the fire that we usually see Samuel L. Jackson with. And you can actually see that he kind of takes a back seat to his wife when they're together, you know. And just to hear the story was so different because she said, my grandfather, I wanted to walk me down the aisle. I want you to go ask my grandfather for my hand in marriage and to make this right. And so let me play this one, and this is my last one from there.
L. Jackson and LaTanya Richardson Jackson just celebrated 45 years of marriage. Their love story began in the early 70s at Morehouse and Spelman, leading to their wedding on August 18, 1980. They built a strong foundation, raising their daughter Zoe with love and unity. Despite tough times, including Samuel's past battle with addiction, LaTanya's unwavering support helped him stay sober for nearly 30 years. Their bond is a true testament to love, resilience, and partnership that stands the test of time. Cheers to 45 years and counting.
We talk about Black love, 45 years in Hollywood. I mean, you can't get past that. That's Hollywood marriage for 45 years, met at a Black college, right across in Atlanta, over in Atlanta. Samuel L. Jackson had a drug habit. She stayed with him throughout the entire time, made sure that he was going to be all right. And so I can respect that. That means if she went to Spelman, she's educated. She's a director. She's a person in her own right. And you let these two people shine, and they never took the light off of each other. They allowed each other to shine. And I think in a relationship and in a marriage, when you see that type of woman to say, baby, you can shine. And no matter what, because what we don't see, 45 years, if you remember, Samuel L. Jackson wasn't always Samuel L. Jackson. It wasn't until he got into a few Spike Lee movies that he became famous. So through them other times, through his addiction, through all the things that he was going through, they understood that their marriage was supposed to outlast everything. And I like the fact that she said, addiction doesn't matter. None of these things matter. We're in it for life. And I think when you can be with someone for life, those trials and tribulations, and you can see the other part, you know, we give up when the things get worst. You know, when you ever saw the person when they dig in for the gold and they stop and it shows the picture that the diamond was right there. We stopped just before we get to the diamond. And she didn't. She said, I'm in it to win it. We're doing it for everything. And because of that, I think that their marriage is a shining example, especially in Hollywood. 45 years in Hollywood, they go 4 to 5 months.
Hello. All right, Georgia, that's the last volley. I think you're dumbfounded, really. I think
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Well, how many of those women would you two date?
Cheryl Underwood. I don't know if I could date Monique.
I'll throw this phone through this screen.
I'll date Angela Bassett. Oh, Angela Bassett. I'd get that. Angela Bassett. We could have some. Did you see Angela Bassett and Tina Turner? That girl's in shape. Ain't nothing wrong with Angela Bassett. Oh, she good to go.
Waiting to exhale. What you mean?
Mm-hmm.
When she was running down that back beach area.
Mm-hmm.
Out of all of those women, who would you two date? Who would you
Angela
two
Bassett.
marry?
I could date Judge
Angela
Tyler.
Bassett, Judge
But here goes the difference.
Holly Robinson Peete.
Oh, yeah.
Most definitely Jasmine Crockett. You get what I'm saying?
I love Holly Robinson on 21 Jump
Monique
Street.
is a little too fluffy for me. I'm not into fluffy girls, so Monique is a little too fluffy for me. But she would be a great friend. You know what I'm saying? And then I'd like a dark-skinned chocolate sister. So and Cheryl Underwood has a humor. that you just can't beat. Sometimes
You guys are so full of shit. I can't even.
Why is it when a man says the truth?
Because it's interesting. It is very interesting the selection that you all made. Because I think all of these women are beautiful. However, men in this society, how many of those women would be passed over to go for the pretty woman?
So here's what I'm gonna tell you. How many of those women, not those women, and here's the theme that I seen. In today's society, women are waiting until they're 50, 45 and 50 to actually become women like that.
Yes.
That's the problem. You're not meeting that woman when she's at 20 years old. That woman that you're gonna tell me.
I know you're not sitting there like that. Don't let me get you together over there.
You're gonna tell me that today's woman.
The other funny part
if I meet a woman at Spelman right now, and I say, you know, I ain't got no money, I'm just gonna be an actor and we're gonna be broke. Is she gonna say, let's get married and be with each other? No. She wants Samuel L. Jackson when he's Samuel L. Jackson. She's not gonna build with him. The theme that I seen in this is these are all older women and are traditional.
They're older now.
Yep. That didn't happen. That's not happening in today's society. There's no building, there's no waiting. Let me go on a date with a woman, Paulette Washington, and run out of money on the first date. Psh, I ain't getting no other date. She ain't gonna go in her wallet and pay for anything.
You guys are making assumptions. Not all women are like that.
You just made an assumption first.
I'm calling Fearless out, number one.
No, you called us both out. You said neither one of us would date any one of these women.
I am calling you both out. But I know for a fact, Fearless, there's not. Holly Robinson Pete might have snuck in there. Other than that,
Angela Bassett. I would have dated Angela Bassett. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I thought Angela Bassett was fine. Like I said, when she was doing Tina Turner, I was like, that woman is shape.
All of them are beautiful women.
Okay, so why are you throwing salt on their grave?
However, society would have, those women would not have been the chosen ones.
First of all, you're talking about society.
It is also very interesting that you all did not choose women who look like the women that you all prefer.
Hold up. First of all,
I chose. I had another one, which I chose Alicia Keys. But I thought y'all would say, "Oh, she was a homewrecker." I thought Alicia Keys was fine, and she's married. And after she got married to Swiss Beat, you don't hear no scandal about her. She's in love with him. I would choose Alicia Keys. I just limited the number of people I had.
First of all, let's back up. The premise of this show was supposed to be giving Black women their flowers, and Black women that deserve their flowers are women of achievement, things that they might have fell in line with, that we believed in. Me and Fearless, not your mindset, me and Fearless's mindset, first of all, okay, of what we thought were very positive women that we would look at as saying they deserve their flowers.
And now, I absolutely agree with every single one that you all chose.
Okay, so
every single one.
Just on that first. Secondly, now you imparting your own opinion and assumptions.
It's not an opinion.
Wait. You're imparting your own assumption and opinion on who you felt like we might have dated in our past. I used to date dark-skinned women all the time. Don't you know there's light skin,
dark skin?
Okay,
it has nothing to do with dark skin.
And what are you saying? You just said all these women are beautiful in their own right, but at the same time, you just gave them a backhanded comment and said neither me or Fearless.
I did not give them a backhanded comment.
Yes,
First of all, you all would have. I'm trying to think of some other women that you all could have chosen that I would have said. Diana Ross's daughter. I think she's phenomenal.
Hell no.
Wait. First
she's an old lady. Hold up. She's an old lady who only want to date young dudes.
We don't have to pick what you like. We picked what we like.
I'm giving an example that it had nothing to do with skin color. It had to do with perceived attractiveness.
Right. I would have never dated
Diana. You all would not have chosen to date any of them. Which in the real world, many of these women who look like that would have been overlooked because they're not aesthetically what you all would go for.
Hold up. I just said I would not date Diana Ross's daughter. And Diana Ross's daughter looked good.
That was but I was
hold up. Now, let me talk now because you said aesthetics. I think she got a fine body. She looked good. The problem is when she was even on her show, that she said, "Oh, I'm not into these men because they traditional and I can't handle them." Basically, she just chasing box at 50 years old. She chasing young dudes for penis, and she said that.
But
even
why?
to the fact,
But
even
why
to the
is she
fact
now
that Barack, your man Obama, said, "Why? Like, what are you doing?"
Okay, but why is she now going after the younger men?
Because when she was young and could have got the men she wanted, she didn't
She
want
wants to
those men.
control the men that she's with. She
Correct.
couldn't have a man that she would allow or be submissive to. And she's outright said this on her show.
She said, we didn't say it. She said
it. She needs to be in control. She doesn't want a man to tell her how to do things.
Okay, Eve.
Eve is married to a white man. What do you mean?
Wait, she's a strong Black woman.
But she's also a rapper. Who said that I like female rappers?
And she was
Why
a stripper.
I gotta like Eve because
she's
she's a rapper? She come off the street. She was a stripper. Why would I look at that direction?
But look at her now.
It's okay. She can rebound
the stripper. I don't care.
That's great. Why does he have to be us?
Cassie is a fine woman. I think she's beautiful. I just don't want a woman who got peed on. Not me.
Why did you even go there?
Because you said what we
first of all, that wouldn't have happened had she not been in an abusive relationship. So that does not do that.
All these hypotheticals, we're talking facts, and you keep on throwing these monkey wrenches and everything with these hypotheticals. Why we didn't choose this person, that person, the other thing. You gave it on us as an assignment to pick the women we felt like we.
And I'm impressed. I'm very impressed with the women that you all chose. However, those women would have been looked over.
This is where the feminist jumps in.
How were those women looked over when they married?
Wait. This is where the feminist jumps in at. While we might have gave her an impressive list of women that she agrees deserve their flowers, now she wants to throw the cross monkey wrench in there and say, why don't you pick this person, that person, the other person? Because I think those were better choices.
No, I didn't say better choices. No, I did not say better choices. I did not say better. My point being is that there are women similar to the women that you all chose. They're walking this earth every single day, and they are overlooked.
There's men who work at Walmart every day that would be faithful to these women, and they are overlooked.
You're going to have a whole show that you can highlight all these special women that you feel are special.
And so my question is this. You said all of these women would be overlooked. Only one of the women that I showed wasn't married. So how were they ever overlooked? Monique isn't overlooked. The judge isn't overlooked. None of the women that I chose are overlooked. All of them are married. So who overlooked them? What men overlooked them? They got married.
The women in society outside of being celebrities. There's women every single day. And no, I said
Denzel Washington's wife was not a celebrity when he married her.
Okay.
All the women I chose were married before they were
celebrities. But she was an actress who was in that realm. So she had access.
They were poor actresses. They weren't anybody special.
But they were still in the same circles.
What's that mean? That's just like we in the same.
My point being that there are women walking the earth every single day who have these qualifications that these women have that are everyday women that get looked over.
And
if we brought those women up, you wouldn't know hide or hair.
I specifically asked for people who are in social media, people that other people know, so we can have somebody that we can relate to.
Mm-hmm.
When I bring it back down to mainstream, you all want to focus on the hood rats, this, that, and the other. However, on the flip side of that, there are some very successful women out there who are ready to allow their man to lead, blah, 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 and they're looked over. Whether it's because they aren't aesthetically pleasing.
Let me ask you a question, Georgia. When you was 25, you ain't the same person you are at 50. How many of those good dudes you look over? How many of those dudes that was not good enough for you? I don't know. I'm going to challenge you. How many of those dudes that you looked over?
I did.
A great man that were just good men. That
see how you just shrugged your shoulders like no big
deal. How many of them you look over?
But I'm just saying, yes, I understand that. However, you all continue to focus on, okay. I'm trying to stay positive, but that whole thing.
What I'm saying is when you are in your 20s, you overlooked all of those good men. And now you're complaining at the men for overlooking those women. Those men were always there and they wanted to date someone like you, but you were not available.
Thank you, James, for this comment because it's right on point. it seems to me that is character, not aesthetics, that many modern ladies are lacking. Getting and keeping a mate aren't the same thing. Absolutely correct. And that's the problem with what's going on today versus the ladies that we highlighted. Did you notice all those ladies were over their 40s? They're in our generation. We couldn't go any lower because there are none that are in those generations lower than that. It absolutely is.
Give me an example.
Very few.
There
are very few ladies, not somebody that you know in general. So tell me somebody's in their 20s right now, aesthetically pleasing, morally and ethically backed Christian women that are sitting there out in the public eye that are single. Tell me one. Go.
Tell me. Tell me.
The thing is, you all are
do not do Richard. Do not do Richard and deflect.
Give me an
do
answer.
not be a deflector.
Okay, right off the top of my head, I can't. Somebody that you all know, I can't name somebody.
The famous woman.
Exactly.
A woman in
So
media, a black woman in
what you
media
don't
that you admire.
Is our group of people, the men that we talk to, they're dealing with this every day. I get that you have your circle of very great female friends in Atlanta. That is not nationwide.
It's not just in Atlanta. My friends are from all over. They're from all over, from all different age groups.
Don't take the one area I said as a literal thing. There are not that many women worldwide that are acting the way that you say that these women are acting.
That is not true. That is not true. That is not. And I'm not.
So you saying 70% of black men are having a problem with dating because they're just not finding the right ones.
I agree.
So where are they hiding at?
And I will say also, being in Atlanta with the ratio being so off for what every five men to every 5 women to 1 man, the men have a lot to choose from here.
Then
so that's one thing, but they're not necessarily
to pay rent. Got to take him to these places. The scammers. Why are they choosing those type of men then? I watched the videos and the guys are like, man, it's called dating in Atlanta, and the guys are like, it's difficult.
No, because the men that are on those videos are the ones who are looking for the Cardi B's and this, that, and the other. They're not looking for women who are educated, who are out there, who may not look like, whatever. But then they're saying that there's no women out there. There are plenty of women in Atlanta, plenty of single eligible women in Atlanta that want to date, but they don't fit the mold of what these men are looking for.
Look, we got somebody on that other show who would date an average woman, and he's in Atlanta, and he's a male feminist, meaning he cool. He don't want to have no beef, ain't no red pill, and he still can't find a woman. And that is a woman's woman.
That's BS.
Matter of fact, you know how bad it is in Atlanta? The women are saying they want to get what they call a lavender wedding. You know what a lavender wedding is? They'd rather marry a gay guy or a bisexual man because it's more convenient. That guy is more sympathetic. That's what they're choosing.
You guys are taking stuff that you all see that are taking snippets of what's going on in Atlanta. There are a lot of eligible women in Atlanta who are doing for themselves, who don't need a man to provide anything, who want to be married. And those women are being looked over.
By whom? Who are they looking over?
They're being looked over because they're not a size 2, or they're not, this high yellow, or they're not this, that, and the other. They're being looked over because they don't fit the mold. And you're talking to somebody who works with a lot of women who are single, eligible, corporate women doing well for themselves, who are looking and they are not able to find a man.
Let's go with
for every adverse, for every yin, there's a yang. So for every black woman that you say are like that, there are every black man, either a plumber, a construction worker that might not be in the greatest shape, makes plenty of money, that could be a provider, and they get passed over by those same women too, because they want the Pookie and the Ray Ray and the freaking scammer that has all the money and the big car. That's
so why ain't they marrying
these corporate women are not looking for the Pookies and the Ray Rays. Okay. They want a man who. Yes, these are the women I work with.
You guys cannot fight against your nature.
So why can't those women who are there? You telling me they can't? Let's go with statistics. women on dating sites swipe left 90% of the time. That means because they're only looking for this specific man. He got to be over 6 feet tall. He's got to be this thing. They're swiping left on all the other men. So when you say yes, I agree with you. There are some good men out there and probably some good women, but all of those women are only chasing a certain percentage of the men. They're all going after, I want this high corporate man, I want this man, I want this man. They have this criteria that they're going after.
And the guys too,
The
they're looking at
problem
the
is
IG model
every
with the
woman is chasing after those men.
guys too. They're sitting there looking at the IG model with the big fake butt and the titties, and they're looking at that too. So we're both missing each other.
Okay, so we're missing, but that doesn't mean that those women don't exist. That's all I'm saying.
Why are those women overlooking the eligible men? Because
those
there's a
eligible
whole
men
section
aren't
of
looking
men.
at them.
And those eligible women aren't looking at the eligible men, like I said.
Men date women out of opportunity. Women date men out of choice. That's the difference. So if that average woman gave that average man any kind of inclination that she would be interested, it would happen immediately. The problem is they don't. What I want you to do then, I want you to, you're single women who are these professionals. Here's your homework assignment. Ask them the criteria of the man that they would marry.
I already know. This is what
All right.
these are the questions
So
I
let's
ask.
just go with this. You say
They want a man who works. He doesn't have to be making 6 figures. He needs to be able to pay his bills. A man who doesn't have multiple children out there with multiple women. A man who is focused and driven in his career. I mean, a man who possibly wants children, depending on the women that I'm talking to. So it's not, to me, it's not a lot. We're not talking about women who were out there looking for men who were making $500,000 or more.
So you're saying your girl who makes $150,000 is fine dating a man who makes $50,000?
I wouldn't say she's fine with it, but if he is able to take care of himself, not all the women are going to overlook him. Now I have some women who will not even look his way.
Exactly.
Why not?
But not all of them are like that. If he's
hold up. See what you did? This is what you did. If you just said a man can't have standards, but a woman can. So a woman's standards is his financial. A man's standards.
No, you brought the financial up. I didn't bring the financial up.
Because most of the women will not date a man who is financially below them.
That's called hypergamy, and you can't fight against that.
And you're saying, in a sense, that's okay. But it's not okay if a man says, I want to date a woman who's physically aesthetic.
But then that woman is supposed to accept his 3 baby mamas.
See what you just did? When we said Pookie and Ray Ray, when we said that, you said, oh, no, ain't no woman out here, Pookie and Ray Ray. See, you playing a double standard.
No, I'm not. I'm just simply pointing out.
Why does that man that makes $50,000 gotta have 3 baby mamas? Why you gotta have that? Why can't he just be a hardworking man?
Hold on. I'm going to dispel this. Even my wrench sitting here in the room said 54% of black men are childless. 54%. So where are all these Pookie and Ray Rays with 5 and 6 babies? Those are the ones that are sitting there with 5 and 10 kids. The Pookie and Ray Rays, because the women are fighting over the same freaking dude instead of going to that good guy that might be a plumber or a construction worker making 6 figures. But 54% of black men are childless. They're right in that scheme of the black women that are looking for them. Why ain't they finding them?
Because they're staying in the house, evidently.
What is that a man's problem if the woman is staying in the house?
What I'm saying is that the men are out there, the eligible women are out there, and the eligible men are out there. For some reason, they're missing each other.
Because what usually happens is those women are not looking for those men until well into their 40s. And usually that man who does not, and I'm not putting you into this, so I'm trying to take you out. But if I was a man who wanted to have children and have this, at the time that your husband married you, that was slowly slipping away. So if I was a single man and I said, I'm ready to settle down and have children with someone, by the time I got to my 40s, I'm like, now we have a problem. Now it's very difficult for me to have a child with you because now we're having it when we're in our 40s. And health reason makes it difficult. So by the time you're ready to accept that type of man, you've already had your fun in your 20s, you've done your thing in your 30s, and now you at the point where you're saying, my standards or wherever, I just want a good man.
Okay, so what about the woman who had fun in her 20s and then in her 30s, she's focused and she's settling down, but then that man is nowhere to be found?
Because that man in his 20s was ready to be with her and he wasn't good enough because he wasn't making enough money. He wasn't stable enough. And finally, when she was in her 20s, she had the choice of men that she wanted. Like when you probably went to Atlanta, what did you say when you first came in? I went to Atlanta. I was in the land of milk and honey. Every black man looked at me. I was the woman. I was all that. Hold up. When a man was in his 20s, he couldn't really afford to do it. He couldn't take you out. He couldn't do all of those things. None of it. He was the person who was wanting. So now all that happened was the roles reversed. When he became financially stable, he looked around and said, oh shit.
I got choices now.
I can have when I'm in my 30s and 40s, I can have Georgia in her 20s. I can have the 20-year-old Georgia, not the 40-year-old Georgia. I can have the 20-year-old who wasn't partying out, who didn't do this. I can have her. So why does he have to choose the 40-year-old? Because you didn't choose him when you was 20. And she know it because she's thinking, oh, I know.
Here's the thing.
And the thing is, I wasn't going for money in my 20s, so I'm not that person. So I'm the wrong one.
But not money, but it was
for looks. That was the thing. We're talking about looks, aesthetics. Women aren't going for the good men because aesthetically, those good men are the ones that might be out of shape because they're working their asses off. They're plumbers. They're doing this. They're doing the other things. They're not necessarily in the gym. They have time to do all that. Those guys are out there. But they're missing the good women that you're talking about because those good women are looking for the aesthetically pleasing men because they're in their prime. Listen, let me finish my point. Women are in their prime. Women are in their prime in their 20s and 30s. Okay. That's when y'all should be getting married. That's when y'all should start to conceive. When you're in your 20s and 30s, women are in their prime. You are at the pinnacle of what you should be in womanhood in your 20s and 30s. That's when you're most fertile and everything else. The thing is, and there's a saying that goes, men fight to get up to the top of the hill over a time period of building their resources and everything else. Women fight to stay on top of the hill because as you age, you start to fall off that mountain. You're no longer in your prime. So instead of meeting in the middle, the man blasts past you because now he's the pinnacle of achievement and everything else. He has the wealth, he has the resources, he has everything that 20-year-old now is now looking for in that 40-year-old man. While the 40-year-old woman might have value because now she's gained in knowledge and she's a bad bee and everything else, you've lost your placing because a 20-year-old has taken your place or a 30-year-old has taken your place. But you still think you're qualified to be on top of that mountain when you've already been replaced. And it's okay. That's just the way life is. When you guys had your prime, you had your choices. What you're expecting men to do is wait until they're in their 40s, still marry a woman that's in her 40s where she had her fun. Now that he has his resources and everything together where he can have fun, nope, he's supposed to go with that 40-year-old woman that bypassed his ass when he was in his 20s. That's what you want. And that's not fair.
That's not what I want. I don't want any of it, but I'm just.
Let me ask you a question then. Why didn't your corporate women get married right out of college?
Most white women do.
Well,
why were they only seeking their career and not seeking a relationship?
Because so that's another thing that you all keep saying. So when Black women are in college, I'm not going to say majority, but many of them are first generation going to college, and they have learned that they need to take care of themselves. They need to be able to take care of themselves. White women who are raised in two-parent homes, they're brought up saying you need to go find you a husband. So there's two different playing fields. So I don't think it's fair that you all keep equating that when women are Black.
But it has to be fair because those white women are taking your men.
They're not taking my men.
Listen, Georgia,
Oh yeah.
My point.
Let's get to the root of this. Who is teaching these women that they need to be independent and strong versus the white family that's a nuclear family, or at least they're being taught
You
to
just
go
said
and
it,
find your
though.
man while you're in college?
The white women are being raised in 2-parent households. And a lot of the time, these women are being raised by single women, and all they know is I have to take care of myself because a man is not going to do it. So their mindset is not going to college looking for a partner. Their mindset is going to college so they can have a career. Whereas white women are raised in 2-parent households to have a husband early on. So the playing field is not the same.
So
and I'm going to tell you what this
answered
is.
your own question. You got a
and
man. You got
Sorry.
the women who focused on career, and now they've gotten to the point where they've gotten successful, but they in their 40s. That man did the same thing. All right, I'm gonna focus on my career. Now he's in his 40s. What a man looks for in his 40s is entirely different than what a woman looks for in her 40s.
Facts.
The man is looking for a younger, a viable woman that he can create a legacy with.
Not all.
Not all.
Not all.
But hold up. That's like saying not all women are looking for 6 figures. Yeah, but the
And
ones
not
that
all women are looking to be mothers, but not all men are looking to be fathers.
correct. But what happens is you start to, when you say not all, you start to shrink down your eligible pool. So if you have a man who is in his 40s, no children, never had children, and a woman who is in her 40s, no children, the fact that they would want a child, it's easier for the man to find someone younger to have a child with than it is for that woman to be with the man to have a child with. So the older she gets, the smaller her pool gets. And then she looks around at 40 and says, there's no men out there. Correct. Because now you either have to lower your standards, meaning you have to date a man who already has children, who's already had that. If you want to have children, you got to date a man who's willing to start all over. If he had a child when he was 20, that means his child 20 years old now. And now you asking him, can you start all over? That becomes difficult, especially if he don't want to. Especially if he's like, now I'm out. I've made it. I don't want to have no children no more. So you're asking a lot of those men to do.
I'm not even going to say this. Hold on. Let me say this. The simple logic that you're using right now. Well, these women weren't raised to be that way, and the white women, the Asian women, and every other culture was raised to be that way when they go to college. You would think as women, if you're analytical thinkers, if you were getting advice from a non-educated woman, when you got into college, you should be thinking outside the box and say, I know what I was taught, but I know being in that situation and what she was teaching me, she had a closed-minded mentality. I'm in college now. I should be thinking outside the box. And if I don't want to wind up like my mother, then I need to change some things instantly when I get away from her. Hold on, don't interrupt.
What are the chances those two women are going to intersect?
Let me finish my thought. Black men or men in general, we think outside the box because we understand to repeat something is the definition of insanity. If you're getting advice from somebody that isn't in the situation you need to be in, then you don't need to be taking that advice. So the advice that you're saying that women are told to be independent by other independent women that are single, maybe have 2 or 3 babies in that household, beside for themselves that are in college, you would think those women would be smart enough not to follow that advice.
That doesn't even make any sense, because if you don't know any different, you're going to repeat.
You're educating yourself. Use the education that you're getting and stop thinking like the ones that don't have it.
That doesn't make any sense. The only reason I was exposed to 2-parent
once you're educated, wait. So you're saying
wait, one at a time. What y'all talking over?
Wait, I get it. But what you're saying is once you got educated, you still thought like the ones that were uneducated. That's what you're telling me right now. Once you got your education, you still thought like the traditional.
I did not.
Okay.
I did not, because I was exposed to something different when I was younger.
Exactly. Once you got exposed to something outside of what you were taught in your nature, you should have wanted to go towards the thing that was different.
When I was younger, a lot of people don't have those opportunities. And so my mother was intentional about where we were raised. When she was working her butt off, my mother was intentional about the neighborhoods we were raised in. And in those neighborhoods, I was exposed to 2-parent households. If we had stayed where we were very young, I would not have been exposed to 2-parent households.
But once you
So
got into
I
college,
knew
you
better
would've been.
before going into college. And also I started college much older because I wasn't ready when I graduated high school. So that's also a different perspective.
So those women that you're saying who are 40, they're not really wife material.
That's not true.
But hold up, by what you just said, they didn't have exposure to any of that. So why would a man want to marry a woman who isn't wife material?
Just because she wasn't exposed doesn't mean she's not a wife material.
Oh, good thing. So when did she change?
I mean, the life experiences. I mean, the thing is, you guys are
She's 40.
She's 40.
She's 40. She ain't got life experience at 40.
You guys
keep giving excuses to these women.
You guys are saying
excuse to she couldn't do it in high school. She couldn't do it in college. She couldn't do it in corporate world. She had to wait until she's 45 to realize, oh, I can become a wife now. Well, fuck. Yeah, it's too late. You fucked up.
I've got women who are in their mid-20s who are wanting to be married. African-American educated women, lawyers, pre-med students.
And I bet those women will find a man.
Women who are wanting to be married.
And they'll find a man.
The double standard that you have on men. Men need to be emotionally and intellectually intelligent, but women get to be emotionally and mentally inept. And it's excused.
You said that. I didn't say that.
But you're giving every woman a pass because they didn't catch on to their emotional intelligence to know that, it's not just about feeling. I need to actually think about what I'm doing here.
So you're saying those women in their 20s who are lawyers, they can't find a husband either?
No, they can't.
And where are they looking for their mates?
They're going to events where they're networking. They're going to, one of them, the climber. She likes to climb. She goes to those type of events. They go to museums and things of their interest, hoping to find somebody with like-minded interests that they can fall in love with.
They're not looking at none of these events.
I'm sorry.
Are there men at these events?
Yes, there's men at these events.
So what is their stipulation?
Are they gay?
If there's men at the events, what is their standard as to why they can't find the men? Because is the problem the women or is the problem the men?
I think the problem is both. And I think they're missing each other. If
they're at the same place, if they're at these events, why aren't they meeting each other?
Well, I think, first of all, this generation of 20 and 30-year-olds don't know how to communicate outside of cell phones and technology. So I think when you put people in a public situation, they don't know how to interact with each other. So I think that's an issue.
Is it also that there was a time when men would approach women and that time has passed?
Yes, I agree.
Can you tell me why that time has passed?
I think there's a level of intimidation. I think that men are, as usual, I think all men are fearful of rejection. But I feel like this day and age, the 20s and 30-year-olds that I come across, they do not know how to engage with each other in social situations.
So Drew brings up a good point. The women you talk to, did they consider age gap dating?
Yes. And I've actually encouraged that.
And they can't look. You're gonna tell me that this woman who making 150 can't find her a young buck? Man, you're gonna tell me that there's not a young dude out there that's like
the young buck ain't gonna be making the money, and then hypergamy kicks in, and she can't see herself taking care of no man.
Well, yes and no. So you've got older women who are open to dating younger men. The younger men are making the money. I mean, you have to remember we are in Atlanta. The younger men are making the money, but they're not emotionally ready to settle down. So then you encourage the woman to date older, and then the man is not in a space where he wants to continue to be active and travel this and the other, for the most part. Now, not all of them. But so there's that issue with the age gap. So if you go older, they may not be as active. They may want to settle down and just be at home and live their life. And then if you go younger, they're still out there kicking it. So they're both financially stable in both age groups, but they're wanting different things, and the woman's not there.
I usually see a guy who's older who dates a younger woman is the adventurous one. I mean, he's like, oh, this is like his midlife crisis date. You know, he wants the different car. He wants to go out. All the things he didn't experience when he was not financially able. Every gentleman I know that dates a younger woman is like, but
we're talking about 40-year-old women who are now wanting to date 50 and 60-year-old men. So when you start going into your 60s, not all the time. Now, sometimes you will have a man who's just ready to go and wants to see the world still. But then the other part of that is that you've got men who've done that, who are ready to settle down and just want to make their place at home. So, I mean, there's many different reasons why these groups of people are missing each other. But there are eligible men out there who are wanting to settle down and be married. And there are eligible women out there that are wanting to settle. And for some reason, they're not crossing paths.
I think that's more the issue. I want to know why they're not crossing the paths. Shit. I'm sorry. I'm trying to.
You already know why. You already know why.
Why?
Beat it like a dead horse. Because they keep missing each other because of the preferences they have, where they feel like society says that a good man needs to be 6 foot, this, that, and the other, while a man is looking at somebody that has a BBL and big ass titties versus a regular woman.
You know what? I think we need to have a dating show.
I would love that. No. You know what?
Y'all wrong.
Have you ever watched Kendra G? Come on. Have you ever watched Kendra G?
I told you about Kendra G.
No,
but
I've been watching Kendra G. I want you to hear this.
If
you watch Kendra G, I want you to tell me the women that come on there and say what they want.
Well, so hold on. So if I did a dating show, we would vet these people out first.
Hold on. So you answering your own question. You had these women who say, I got 3 kids. Hold up. Listen, this is what you're going to get. I got 3 kids. I don't want to work anymore. I want a man to come in and take care of me and my children and pay all the bills.
Delusional.
And he's still going to come up 4th place because my kids come first.
But that's what the guys are competing with. You're competing with women who say they want that.
I think the eligible women who are wanting to date, they would not dare go on the Kendra G. The women the upstanding, corporate, classy women, a lot of them are not. Now I've seen some like mind-blowing women on Kendra G, but for the most part, those people they want ratchet, they want hood rat, they want to be able to tear down the guests that come on there.
What about the woman who said, you a doctor? Oh, but that's not good enough. You ain't achieve it. You're just a doctor.
Well, that was weird to me.
But see how I keep giving you all these examples? I want you to give me an example of somebody who was like, I just want a regular man making 30,000 or 50,000 who just come home every day.
So okay, so I hear you. So let's be more reasonable about the salary, okay? Because when we're talking about 30,000, not only is there a huge gap in income, but there's also a huge gap in interest. A man who is okay making $30,000 a year, he's not going to be in the same space as a woman who's making $250,000.
Let's take her out, because the women that go on there are not making $200,000.
That would be correct.
They making 30,000, but they are requiring the men that they with to make 100,000.
Okay, but then that's why I'm saying to vet the guests before they go on, because
then you ain't gonna never get nobody on your show. You're not gonna get nobody on your show.
That's not show at that point. The whole idea behind the dating show should be something that happens organically. You're pre-setting up the show.
Well, no, you're setting parameters. You're not pre-setting. You're setting parameters, and I think that to take the delusional people out of the equation is fine. When you've got a woman who's got 4 children by 4 men, and she wants a man who makes $250,000, make it make sense.
All right.
Please make it make sense.
Let me ask you this then. Let's take that out of it. I've seen women that come on the show and they'll say, she goes through her questions and she'll say, when was your last, because this is a trick. When was your last relationship? 2 years ago. You don't have to answer this question, but I'll ask this question anyway. When's the last time you had sex? Oh, a week ago. Well, what's wrong with him? I don't want to be with him. And the next guy is not going to have sex. I'm not going to have sex with him.
I know.
As a man, you thinking, hold up, why am I going to marry this chick? She giving it out to this dude who ain't got to give her nothing, who ain't got to buy nothing, but she's expecting me to pay everything for her kid. When you keep saying that it's delusional, these are the expectations that women have of men. And a man is saying, why do I have to pay for, I got to make 6 figures. I got to take care of you. I got to take care of your wife. And he get to hit it for free.
No.
You're telling me I got to do it.
That's not. So I will say the women that I work with would dare not ever go on Kendra G. Okay. So that's why I'm saying if you have a situation where you're setting parameters. I hear you, Ronan, by saying, well, then that's not organic. Well, yeah, it is organic because you're putting people who would not necessarily meet within their own circles. Just because they live far apart, but they're still within the same circle. You have a woman who makes $30,000 a year who's got 4 children by 3 different men. She's not going to be in the same circle with a man who makes $500,000 a year and who's been focused on his career and doesn't have.
Is not. You're absolutely correct.
So I think it's okay if you say, you know what, let's set some parameters so you can make it make sense. That doesn't make sense. Women who get on that show and say stuff like that, they're not even living in their own reality, let alone bringing somebody into theirs. So, it's that stuff is mine.
Do you have time for a dating show?
I want to ask you a question. I just want to ask you this one question. Those are the women. What are the parameters that the men come on and say? Because you keep saying there's no men out there. Every man I hear to come on just say, I just want a good woman. Maybe no tattoos on her chest. Maybe she just this. His standards are here. Her standards are up there. So you keep telling me that men don't want women. Shit, men are wanting the bottom of the barrel and still can't get it.
No, I wouldn't say that. And I'm not saying, because there are a lot of men out there, a lot of eligible men out there who are looking for women. So, and I would not say that they're looking for the bottom of the barrel, but they want a woman. Their
standards are here, where they just
so I will agree. Their standards they're not, all the way up here where these delusional women are, but they want a woman who they can take to a corporate event and they're not worried about her thugging out on them. They're worried about, okay, I leave you with the president of my company's wife. What is the conversation going to be? Mm-hmm. So I would not say they're looking for bottom of the barrel, but they do want a woman who can hold their own and they can trust that you're going to represent me well. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Guess what?
But what I'm saying is, did you hear the different standards that a man is requesting compared to what the woman is requesting?
It's delusional.
Let me say this real
quick.
So
it can't be the man that's the problem, because the man is just saying, I'm simple. I just want something simple.
Listen. A man will take a woman, like Fearless said, at bare bones minimum, because we have enough knowledge in order to train them up to what we want them to be. We will show them what we need them to do. We will teach them what they need to say. As long as they're willing, we will show them exactly everything they need to say to be good representations of us and corporate events and everything else. That's the thing. A man will build a woman to a level that we want them to be in, where a woman will not. That's the problem. Nor should a man have to be built up in that way. But at the same time, if she's willing to go and get that plumber and just teach him etiquette, teach him how to hold his fork and whatever, if he's in a corporate event, something like that, basic, then there shouldn't be any reason why she shouldn't be able to have him as a representation of herself, unless, again, she's ashamed based on her corporate peers to say that my husband's a plumber while the other peer has a lawyer or a doctor as a husband. Now it becomes ego, and women dress for who? Other women. So a whole bunch of this is all about perception that women want to give off, where men don't care. Men just want a good woman that they can build upon and help them, bring them up to whatever level they need them to be at. Where a woman she shops for other people's opinion. She dresses for other people's opinion. She has the biggest ego, more so than men.
The girl Ebony K. Williams, when she was on the show, and a woman asked her, "Would you marry a bus driver?" She's like, "If he owned the bus." And she's like, "Well, he's just a good working man that comes home. That's not good enough." And you know what she decided to do? Oh, she said, "I froze my eggs," and she went out and had a baby with her frozen eggs. Now, so you keep saying there was no men. There were men out there. Ebony K. Williams is a beautiful woman, and there are men who would have been with her, but their standards are so high. Vivica A. Fox, oh, she can't get a man. Beautiful woman, had millions of opportunity, but she's still saying, "I'm 60 years old and he got to be able to take care of me." But I'm saying these are the women who are out there.
Not necessarily the best representation of women.
But you say that, but that whole circle of women think that same way. Lisa Ray, same way. She still thinks she the princess of Turks and Caicos, and she been divorced on how long, and still think you got to take care of me. And you 60 years old.
Yeah.
A man who is 60 gonna say, "I got money. Why I got to deal with you? I can deal with somebody who's 40, who don't got them issues." That's the problem. Y'all, the women in that circle are y'all base yourself out. I'm gonna tell you another woman, Beyonce's mom. Beyonce's mom got a divorce because she said he could. She's 70. Not only did she get a divorce, you know what name she took and went back to? Knowles. She went back to her divorce name.
Other married name, yes.
She went back to her children's last name.
But she divorced. She done been married.
Divorced him too.
But that's still her children's last name.
But do you understand? She's 70 years old and still talking about this. The man was an actor, a good man. He was an actor. He had money within his own. And you please tell me. I need to know if, as they say, if like Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, and Jeff Bezos can't keep a woman, what can an average man do?
But so then I wouldn't even go there, because then Halle Berry couldn't keep a man. So, and she's the most beautiful woman to me still on this planet.
You can be beautiful and a nasty ass attitude.
You don't know that.
David Justice says she was that.
But let me say this real quick.
You couldn't keep a black man or a white man.
American Talk Live has a problem with me saying train. Train and teach are basically similar in its action. And yes, the Bible says you should train people up as the way they should go. So yes, when you are in charge of a household, you are supposed to train the household or teach the people in the household as to the operation and the function of everything. That's what your edict is as a man. What is wrong with you?
So how we solve this problem? How we get these women? Because what we tried to show was, what I tried to show was, these are, when I looked at these women, there was two things. I seen a generational gap. That there's an older generation of women, and every time they spoke it was like a traditional way. And because of that, they married for 45 years. They married longevity. You don't hear about scandals, none of that. And they were saying, these are the type of men that I want. So that's a generational gap, because I don't see that in the younger generation happening. So how do we connect that younger generation, one, and how do we help out these women who are desiring men but can't find it? Because I tell you, a lot of times men just checked out. Men just got to the point where they're like, man, the standards are so much that it's not worth it anymore. So how do we connect them? How do we solve this?
We have a dating show and we vet the people.
All right. Well, I'll tell you
You
what.
have time for that? Hold on. Wait a minute. First of all, you're doing your own show. We doing this show maybe twice a month now. When are you going to have time?
I'll make time. It's interesting. Well, this is actually something that was brought to me a couple of years ago by a few of my clients. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if I can make that happen. But now talking more, and the more that I'm working with these populations that are single, who are eligible, good men and women who are just not meeting, hey, I think it's needed. And I think it's needed to vet the people before you put them in a space to be able to meet. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because Kendra G, yes, she has had some success, but overall it's a bunch of ratchetness. So I think that if you have people over there who are like-minded, who are truly looking for love, and who are willing to, a woman who's making $150,000 a year, and she's willing to marry a man who's making $75,000 a year, that's reality. I
want to hear that. I want to meet that woman, because when I meet her, she's gonna say, this is usually what a woman says. I'll date that man with 70,000 if, and there's always that but in if. It's like, that can't be where he gonna stay. It's never, he has to be doing more than that. Like, is he just on his, he's starting a business, he's doing something like that. That cannot be his end goal.
I mean, I think the only time would tell. But I think that if we had a platform where these were people who were serious, and then not delusional men and women who were getting on here with a bunch of nonsense, and we were having conversations with them and making sure, okay, this person truly is looking for love. That's not something Kendra G is doing, nor does it seem like that's something she desires to do. I mean, she's got her money, she's got her following, but the classy men and women that I know that are looking for love are not going to be on the Kendra G show.
Could we have them lower their standards on both sides? Meaning, even to a guy to be like, bro, yeah, you don't need an IG model, man. You can have a decent looking woman if she does all the other things you like, and she was a great mother. What you keep looking for this big button to smile for?
Well, can I say something? I think one of the issues that I struggle with is when you keep saying lowering their standards. Maybe if we say reevaluate what their needs are, because when you say lower their standards, that means they're dating somebody who's less than. So I struggle anytime I hear lower your standards. I'm not okay with that, because then you're already saying I'm dating somebody who's beneath me. And is that somebody you want? Or is it, I reevaluated what I want in my life, and somebody making $200,000 a year is not that's not something that I want. That's not something that I need. I can take care of me. I want a partner that I can trust and who's going to keep me safe and is going to make me feel, protected. So I think we got to stop saying lowering your standards. I don't want to
reevaluate your standards. I'll say it. Reevaluate their standards. I can do that, because the guy, he may be thinking a big button, a smile is nice, but after a few dates, that goes away. Right. And for the woman, you can say, oh, I want that high value man. But a lot of times he's going to be working just as hard as you. He's not going to be at home. And now you have to deal with other women because he has his selection. And maybe you don't want to compete with all of that. So maybe reevaluate what it is you're looking for. And I say that to women and men, because if you always do what you always did, you're going to get what you always got. And if you single now, what makes you think if you don't change, then anything else is going to be happening?
Right.
So I'm down with that. Reevaluate, and then maybe let's find out why they have that standard, or that they look at this, or the type of men they're going to look for, and maybe we can help them find, a good man. Because sometimes we just put something in our mind, and we don't even know why. Like, the one guy was on the show, she's like, "Yeah, I want a guy 6 foot," and he was standing there, and she was like, "Are you short?" He's like, "I'm 6'1". Like, she doesn't even know what 6 foot looks like.
Right.
And she's shorter than him. So they just have it in their mind, this delusion that somebody told them 6 foot, 6 figures. And they don't even know what 6 foot and 6 figures is. Because 6 figures is 100,000 to 900. You're like, we in whole different ballparks.
So I want to go back to something why your choices of women struck a nerve with me. Because your choices of women look like the majority of the women who I know who are looking to be married. And they're being passed over. These are eligible, educated women who are being passed over. So when I saw that list of women that you all came up with and the pictures are coming out, I'm like, wow, that looks like a lot of the women that I work with that are single, that are being passed over because they don't necessarily fit the mold of what the beauty standards are today. These are good women who would make wonderful wives, wonderful mothers, and they're being looked over because they don't fit the mold. You know,
Two questions on that. Were they that way in their 20s?
What do you mean that way?
Because all of the women that you said were not passed over. All of the women we brought up, except for one, was married. So when you keep saying they're passed over, these women were not passed over. So they did something in their younger years. You want to bring up Michelle Obama. How many people at the law firm would say, you know what, I'm willing to date the clerk who works under me, who is in student loan debt and doesn't have any money? A lot of them won't, because a lot of them want to date the up. So my question is, what were they doing in their 20s? What were they doing in their early 30s?
Okay. Fair.
Because most of the women that we brought up were married younger.
Okay, but here's the question. I would like for you all to try to find women that you all admire that are single African American women.
That's going to be more difficult.
Why?
Because if they're single because they didn't want a man, or they chose their career over dating. They felt that something else was more important than family.
Plus, let me put it this way. You're talking to two married
Because
guys.
if you said get a man, if you wanted me to get a man, you would say, oh, Barack Obama. Why? He's a good family man. He raised good children.
Word right there.
Those are the characteristics that you want me to say that makes a good man. If I just said there's a rich man, you're like, all right, he got money. That means nothing. What other characteristics make him? He's hardworking. He's a coach. Those are the characteristics that's making him a good man. So if there's just a single rich man, that doesn't make him good. And if he's single, why? I would be saying, why is he single? Every president of the United States has been married. You know why? Because once you're married, and in corporate, when you get to a corporate CEO, they look for people who are married. It's less scandal. You're more
stability.
So when you ask me to look for a single woman, I'm looking at a woman
that's a negative.
It's a negative.
And let me say this why. Because you're asking two men that believe in the sanctity of marriage. Okay. To go and find single women they feel are a positive reinforcement in the community. They're single. They're not married. They're not looking to get married. They're strong, Black, independent women in that community that are going against what we feel is our nature and that we should be a couple. So why would I raise up a woman and praise her on her individuality instead of wanting to do it in a nuclear family with a husband? We did not pick one single woman beside for Crockett in that whole group. And I think she's even keeping her relationship off the books.
What are your thoughts on Serena Williams?
I have no problem. Well,
I don't either.
I have no problem with it. I think what she did was
she knows she can do whatever she wants. I mean, she's made her money. She married a man that was maybe less wealthier than her. They had children. They're still making it work. I think they were on the rocks at one point and they rebounded from it. That's great. You know, all relationships are good. It's not about color.
Wait,
that's
you said less wealthier than her?
Yeah.
Yes.
She makes more money than you.
He is, but he ain't as wealthy as her.
Once we get into
He
the
is.
millions,
He is in his own
matter
right.
when we get into the millions.
It does to some women. Some women always want you to be making more. She at least took him, even though he was making less notoriety, less money, even though he's a multimillionaire. She's damn near close to $1 billion, I think. He's not. Can he pay the bills? Yeah, I'm sure. But so can she.
The only thing I don't like about Serena is she tried to lighten her skin, and then she got on the Super Bowl trying to do the crip walk.
Right. Stop that. You ain't got to do it.
What, you ain't been in the hood in how long? You ain't got to come back to the hood. You ain't nobody question your blackness.
Okay.
But here's another thing. Here's what we didn't do, and here's what black women do all the time. You rarely ever see a black man shaming a black woman for marrying a white man. And I said this before. If Barack Obama, if Michelle Obama was white, y'all wouldn't have voted for him, but y'all vote for Kamala Harris, and her husband is white.
You're probably talking to the wrong woman. I probably would have.
I'm just saying. How many of those people say, I wouldn't vote, he's not a real black man. Y'all question his blackness if he was with a white woman, but we never question a black woman's blackness if she's with a white man.
Well, I think that just all depends on where you're raised. I think that if that's something that's part of your environment, that's not who you are. You don't think twice about it. So that I think that would be an assumption to assume that all black women would have an issue with the fact if he was married to a white man.
Barack Obama would have been voted president if Michelle was white.
I think more white people would have had problems voting for him for president than black people if he would have been married to a white woman.
Black women be like, see, he got rich and he got him a white woman. He think he good. What they gonna have some bland food in the White House. And this is
we did a whole show about that, right?
About what?
Obama marrying a white woman if he would have made being the president. And by the way, he did date white women up until he met Michelle.
I mean, I don't think there's. I think that is all. That's just how I think that's environmental, how you're raised. So I don't think that that's across the board that all black people would have an issue with that because I don't.
Not all. But would you say majority?
It was easier to vote him with a black nuclear family than having him with a white.
So do you see the difference? Where black men, we don't care who y'all marry.
That's a whole lie.
What
we really don't.
Woman married a white
really
man
don't.
Okay, so we have to go from personal experience. The hell that I caught early on before I started just not giving an F, I caught hell from black men. Hell, do you hear me? So
mad at you?
I
mean, mean mugging, comments, all of it, and it still happens.
Black women do to white women. Black women do the same thing to white women and black men. What do you mean? That's across the board. You didn't get it any worse than any other black man.
I didn't say I did. I'm just saying it happened. I'm not saying, I'm fully aware that it happened.
It's not just something people are used to, and especially in our community or any community. But as you can see, there's a whole bunch of light motherfuckers sitting on this screen right now. Obviously, our races are mixed. So it's not the first time.
I'm
ain't gonna
full
be
Negro.
You are not. Stop that lying.
Now, I mean, I ain't never hate, but I looked at it like, God, I questioned, like, how you get hurt? Like, God.
Right.
Like, I ain't trying to bring looks into it. I ain't care if she was ugly, man, but you took a good one, man. You took one of the.
Who are you referring to?
I mean, we talk about personal. I just knew a fine chick, and I was like, man, how he scooped her up. So it wasn't really hating on him. It was just more like, what did he have? Was it money? Was it something? Because he snatched him up.
But I'm seeing it more and more, and I'm actually happy that I'm seeing it because there are so many eligible black women being looked over. It's actually nice to see black women realizing that it's not just black women who are interested.
You should be happy on both sides. But my biggest thing is that the quickest way to breed out racism is the mix. I'm always for that.
But here will be my question. Why aren't your corporate women with a white man? They in corporate. There's a lot of corporate men who are white. Why won't those corporate men?
See, we're about to start bashing, and I don't want to go there. We are trying to keep this light and flowery. And if we go to that question, that's going to go into the bashing part.
Well, I no. So can I give a simple answer? Because I've actually challenged some of my African American women, single women. And I think it's fear. I think it's fear of the unknown.
On the white men's part or the black?
No.
Part?
For black women to date white men, I think it's fear. You know, what is this going to be?
Are they being sought after? And let's go there. I'm going to go there. Are they being sought after?
Oh yeah.
By white men.
Oh yeah.
That is not the statistic.
You know what? I think a lot of black women are oblivious to the fact that
is a fetish for white men, but it's not a
desire. I don't say. I wouldn't say that. These are men who dated black women most of their lives, who are in. I think they just black.
There are many white men out there that date black women on a regular. So
that is a whole lie. Y'all are, come on now. Y'all need to venture outside of wherever you are.
No, I see it, but here would be the thing. It's not that corporate Brad that is dating the black women, because a lot of white women they status symbols. That's what it comes down to.
I think that has changed a lot over the years. At least the past 15, 20 years, I think that has changed a lot.
I just don't see our women that I think the stereotype follows them, even though if it isn't true. The stereotype of the aggressive, the not listening, that follows them. Now, I will say this. I know a lot of women who are like that with black men that are not like that with the white men. They changed up.
Well, So can we have another show on this? Because there's a whole.
Real quick,
why don't you write that down? Because we gave you about 10 topics, and you're like, oh, why don't you write it down so we know we can go?
Yeah, that's definitely a topic I would like to talk about more.
Listen, we got a poll that I had going on, and I just asked a simple question at the beginning of the show. Do you know of a black woman other than your mother that deserves her roses? And so that you can be positive about the people that are in our room, Georgia, you realize 57% of the men say, yes, there are other black women other than their mothers that deserve their roses. Over 43% that said no. So every black man that's sitting in a room of any ethnicity are not all black women haters. Okay. That's not our panel, but what we're talking about is real life. And in real life, those situations go on. While you might have a certain few women in your circle that might have the desire to be married, what we found out on an international scale, that's not necessarily so for black men.
And I say I would like to, on the man's part, because I hear women say it. I don't think this is true. A lot of women say, oh, he's intimidated by the money I make. So I think that we have to talk to men, because I think you can be a man no matter the salary that your wife makes. But I also think it's up to the woman to allow him to be a man. And that's why I brought up a lot of the women that I brought up, that their money, it was never about their money. It was always about the man that they were. And so if you emasculate a man, that's the worst thing you can do. You can never come back from that. And I find that sometimes when a woman becomes wealthy with money, they emasculate a less wealthy man, and they make him feel less of a man. Where I don't think men, I guess, are accustomed to making money. And so I don't know if they actually do that. And I can only talk for me. So maybe you can help me out with that. Does a man who makes more money than you not effeminize you, put you down?
Does a man that makes more money than you?
If you were dating a man that made more money than you, does he put you down? Or because I always seen it the reverse, where a woman might make more money and she emasculates the man.
Well, no, I wouldn't. Oh, that's a good question. I wouldn't say that a man would necessarily put a woman down, but I feel like there is a level of power there if a woman doesn't, if the woman is not confident and if she's not sure of herself that she would be okay on her own, I think that there's definitely an imbalance of power there when it comes to money if the man is making more than her.
I want to, man, it'll still be going on. I would like to revisit, and I wish we could have done it tonight, but we had to give our women our flowers. I would like to revisit the Cassie Diddy. I want to revisit that.
The trial is live now, so it's not a bad idea to do it.
I would love to revisit that because we were talking about power and a power dynamic. And I think that is a power dynamic, but not always in the man's favor.
You know, I think that because there's so much going on in that with him and the lives that he has impacted. He's just a very dangerous person. I think that goes without saying. I think he's a very dangerous man. And I think a lot of people have been preyed on and victimized and traumatized by him. And you know, this whole Cassie thing, for her to have to go out there and relive this nightmare, people don't understand what domestic violence looks like. You know, there's a lot of people, I can't believe she stayed with him, this, that, and the other. She was 22 years old. And there's a lot of trauma and a lot of manipulation, and there's just a lot that goes into something that this man crafted very well over several years. So
you think she stayed with him out of fear?
I think there was a combination. I think it was fear. I think it was, you know, she was financially dependent on him.
Dependent?
Well,
I mean, I wouldn't use the word dependent. He gave her a whole lot of money and she liked the lifestyle. That's different than being dependent.
Well,
Because she didn't have kids. She could have at any point walked away.
There's a level of trauma there that I think a lot of people who've never been in domestic violence situations, they don't understand. I mean, there's so many layers to why she stayed. She no longer had her own identity. So to be able to say she wasn't dependent on him, she was no longer her person. She lost her identity very early on. So this definitely needs to be a show because
and I would say these two things. She did hypergamy. She was with a good man and she left that man and cheated on that man with Diddy.
Well, okay, I understand that, but then she was also she was a 22-year-old mindset. Chasing
a man can go to war and die for his country and he can kill somebody and be as an adult. But you keep saying she's 22 like she was not an adult and couldn't make her
Well, 22 years old, you're still very impressionable. I remember what I was doing at 22 years old. So I mean, we don't know her family history. We don't know the situation that even got her to that point. Her pre-existing relationships has nothing to do with her relationship with Diddy. Diddy is he is in his own planet, his own hemisphere. So
but when she decided to leave, right? When he refused to marry her.
Okay. But we're not gonna invalidate her experience and what she went through. She went through hell, and we don't know. We only know what we're being told. We don't know what else went on. There was a whole bunch of other stuff that we will never know.
Then why would you criminally charge him instead of going after his money?
Why not?
If you felt that someone did you wrong, why wouldn't you have them criminally charged? It was, and when you only chase after the money, it makes me think it's only about the money.
Well, first of all, money's what's going to hurt him.
$30 million to a billionaire does not hurt.
Okay, $30 million when you got to pay it out 50 times is a lot.
But he only had to pay it out once. He was only.
We don't know what the end is going to be. We don't know who else is going to come forward.
But I'm saying, hold up. You're saying like at the end. I can't talk about the end. I can only talk about that moment. $30 million to him was what he was spending on just her houses. It was not an absorbent amount for him.
But we're not going to beat up the.
That's the same thing with Shannon Sharp and this one chick that was a booty call, basically OnlyFans chick. He was willing to give her 10 million when she's never been exposed to 10 million for the sake of making 100 million on a contract because he didn't want the bad press, and she still turned it down.
No, I think okay, yeah, okay. So
I want to have a show around Cassie because
I think there needs to be a show around Cassie. I think that this whole Shannon Sharp is weird. He's a weirdo. He's weird. That whole accidentally going live having sex, that was weird. Like what are you doing? So I honestly don't believe anything that's coming out right now. I feel like he's creating these situations to portray this life that he's a straight male, and I just think it's gross. So
now you're thinking he's gay or bisexual at least.
See, I don't have any. See what y'all do? Y'all emasculate a man. That's the first.
No, I'm not a man. Shannon Sharp has never come across to me as a heterosexual ever in life. I never did that. So that's not. It's not about.
Listen. Yet and still, Diddy did, and Diddy. Everybody knows Diddy was.
Diddy's a weirdo. So I think that Diddy would have slept with anything, including animals. So I don't think that I don't think anybody.
Did you think that before, or when?
No, I don't know that his sexuality ever came into question. I just thought he was weird. But I don't know why. He just was weird to me. But that whole Shannon Sharp thing, I don't know why you all don't see. He never came across as a manly man, just like Tyler Perry stuff.
His brother played football. He's in top shape. What are you talking about?
That doesn't mean any. Do you know how many athletes I have been in the gay clubs with? Stop it. Please stop. I'm in Atlanta. I have seen it all, and I was very traumatized in the first 2 years of it. So I've seen a lot. So him being this big black man, that has nothing to do. I have seen some things that have literally brought me to tears, and I had to go to the bathroom and get myself together because I couldn't believe it. So
she never accused him of anything gay, and everything was she never accused him of anything gay. It was every scandal has involved a woman.
But there were some things that came up before the whole live incident about him being in gay relationships. So
his stylist has been said that he was running around with his stylist, who was a known gay guy.
Yeah,
and he was putting him on the front seat of basketball games and things like that.
Yeah, he just never struck. He may be straight. I mean, I don't know, but he just never. He's never struck me as a masculine man. He just didn't.
Wow. So let me ask you. They were saying the same thing about Kevin Samuels too. At the end of the day, he was, metrosexual or this, that, and the other thing. But he spoke to the Black nuclear family and was trying to unite Black men and women back together again. That was his whole thing.
I think Kevin Samuels. He had some. I never thought anything about his sexuality, but I thought Kevin Samuels had some very valid points, but he was brutal in his delivery. I think that his delivery was just downright just savage. So, but yeah, I would like to have a conversation about the whole Cassie Diddy thing. But I will say that I would have an issue with her being made out to be this gold digger who didn't. She was in a domestic violence relationship, and he abused his power to the nth degree with many people, men and women and young boys. And it's just sad. And it's sad that this went on for so long. And it's sad that so many adults saw what was going on, but turned a blind eye. And it's
because a lot of it from the trial, she was the one who was making the calls, setting things up. I want to have, and I won't go too far. I just still think that you can't say that after all that time there was no enjoyability on her part. And I can't say she's a gold digger. I would say an opportunist. Opportunist. Because at any time you can step away, you can leave. And if I told you, like if somebody said to me, look, I'm gonna pay you this much money and I need you to get it in the booty. It don't matter how much money you're gonna pay me, there's lines I'm not gonna cross. She didn't seem to have any blurred lines.
Well, no, you all don't know the grooming process. So I think you all have to be very careful about that. She was groomed for a while, and she was privy to information of the people that he ended, literally and figuratively. And so there was this fear that she had for a very long time. And he's a very dangerous man. So for us to sit here and say, well, she could have left this, she was groomed. It's no different from you talking about a 14-year-old boy who's.
You ever see the show Making the Band?
No.
That was whole Diddy thing when he was doing a whole girl group.
Oh, I do. Yes. With Danity Kane and all that. Yeah, I remember that. So, I mean, anyway.
Way before Cassie.
Well, I mean, he started early on. You know, that Bentley Farnsworth, he done fell off the face of the earth. He probably could tell stuff that just would make your skin crawl. He has probably seen it all.
He's probably the one that started organizing that.
I mean, so but no, I would like to have a show about that. But like I said, I appreciate the flowers given. The women that you all named, it was shocking, but absolutely on board with every single one that you chose. I think all of those women are phenomenal women, phenomenal, strong women.
So the question to you is, I want you to name some young Black men that are in the media, that are single, that you're like, oh yeah, that you want to give some flowers to.
I guess, gosh, who do I even watch nowadays? And
if you can't go there, then we'll say older Black men who might be married. So whomever you want to, whatever you want to go.
That I admire?
Or you would give flowers to.
You give flowers to.
That I would give flowers to. Well, one is the Chadwick Boseman. I think that would be number one. Definitely Denzel. Morgan Freeman, but he had a little issue with his stepdaughters. It was gross. But him. Samuel L. Jackson. I'm trying to go younger. My mind is drawing a blank. But I mean, I have a lot. I don't have anybody that.
So I want to know your reasons why.
I think, Denzel, he sticks out to just because of his commitment to family and his wife. I think it's just, I mean, when he talks about her, I've seen him on many different interviews, and the level of respect that he has for his wife, and the amount of love, you can just see it. So Denzel, definitely. Jamie Foxx is another one. There's something about Jamie Foxx that I've always admired. And number one, he's super talented and to me underrated, especially when it comes to his musical talent.
Jamie dating white bunnies. Jamie.
Y'all stop it. I don't have an issue. I've never had an issue with interracial dating at all.
I'm just saying, Jamie said.
I hope not. At this point, I would really hope not.
No, I don't. I've never had an issue with it. Jamie Foxx, definitely. Any of the Wayans, I really just like that family as a whole. The way they represent each other. I really like that entire family. I mean, Barack, just because that's my husband on the side. Whatever. I just like the way Barack is just the way he never wavered under all the foolishness that came his way while he was the president. He just never there were so many times he could have just went left, and he didn't. He did what he could with what he had. And yeah. So who else? I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot. I'm trying to think of some younger ones. And I'm drawing a blank, of course.
It's kind of hard, ain't it?
Well, no, I think if I'm put on the spot, you guys had time to think about it. But there's a lot of actors out there. I'm thinking about artists that I admire. I'm drawing a blank.
All right.
I'll have a list for y'all next time, giving men their flowers.
No,
but I don't have a problem giving men their flowers. Y'all have a problem giving women their flowers.
Oh, we have a problem with giving bad women their flowers. And in society today, they give the flowers to the most wretched.
Well, my whole issue for tonight was that, you know, no matter what show we had, it just always seemed to go to how trifling women are. And like I said, those aren't the circles I'm in, and those aren't the women that I, not only are my clients, but the friends that I have. Those aren't the women. And my friends, the age range, we're talking about early 20s all the way up to their 80s. So we're not talking about a small group of friends, and that's just not who they are. So it's a struggle for me to be on the show and just have, for the men to have such a negative view of minority women. Let me specify, of African American women.
But do you think that over time your circle of people have changed? Could you have said that in your 20s? Could you have said that at 25? And let's even go as high as 30.
Well, I mean, I didn't have an opportunity to interact with the people that I have. So my circles changed because my life has changed, you know?
So most of these people we're talking about, they're you in the 25 range. So they have a different circle. Like my circle is not the same as my circle when I was younger. I had to leave friends behind. I had to be like, yeah, you was my A1 from day one, but we can just be friends on Facebook. We can't really see each other no more. So your circle changes as you grow older and mature. But that
or they grow and mature with you, which a lot of that has happened. And so that's something else, because I think my ratchet is different than the ratchet nowadays. Because my ratchet, I could go to the club and kick it or whatever, but then I would be able to go and hold a conversation with somebody who was, the president of a company. So I think there's a different ratchet nowadays. So ratchet in the street is also, well, you're not getting hired. My ratchet was I could be ratchet in the club, at 112, then I could talk to somebody in the corporate world on Monday. But I don't think it doesn't flow like that anymore. So I think
your look probably was, you could go to the club how you look now. These women ain't going to the club how they look now. They got the butterfly eyelashes, the nails just way out here, and purple hair, and that might be good
with the nipple cover up, and you basically see straight through whatever outfit they got on.
It's a different ball game. So my ratchet isn't the ratchet of now. This is a different. There's no discretion. There's no pride in how you go out. It's just the women now. It's different. The breasts are out, the ass is out, the cellulite, your stomach. I don't care if you got some weight on you. I don't need to see it. So the women just don't care about the whole bonnet things and house shoes and wearing pajamas to the grocery store. My brother used to talk about me left and right because he was like, you won't even go get the mail without putting your, doing your hair and put some lipstick on. Well, that's how I was raised. Mm-hmm. You didn't leave the house looking crazy. So it just, nowadays the women they don't care. And they're looking for a man, but then you're showing every man out there what you have to offer. So it's a different ball game.
So let's see how we can connect some of these good women and these good men, and maybe they can raise up a generation of some good people instead of some ratchetness. That's
I really would like to do that. I know you guys think this is something that has been thrown around for a while, but I absolutely would like to have a dating show where we vet the men and women that come on the show and do it that way. I think that would be awesome.
See if we can get them. You know, ratchet sales though. Just let you know. I know it's crazy.
I understand ratchet sales, but at some point we got to stop glamorizing, hood rats and get back to what makes us, what uplifts us as people.
And also, I want to if we get to Cassie, I want to talk about the psychological effects of her husband. We leave him out.
You know what he's been through?
Went through, going through, living
he
that.
still has to be supportive of her traumas.
Yeah.
You know, how can how is it for a man to listen to the things that your wife did with someone else? I'll say voluntarily, and you just listening to it.
Well, I think we gotta be careful with that whole voluntarily, because grooming is a very powerful thing, and Diddy had several years and several people to perfect what he did best in the end, and that was to literally just exploit people for his own gain. And it's just, he's a sick person. He's very dangerous. He is a very dangerous person.
And we can end kind of on this, but I do have a question. And I asked this question to someone. I remember I was in Brazil and I asked this question to a girl. She was a working girl. And
wait, clarify working, a hooker or working girl?
Yeah, no, hooker. Oh. And the question to her was,
glad I asked.
No, I was just talking about relationships or something. And if she could go out and be with like 5 dudes at a time, right? If you paid her money, she'd bring one of her friends along. So her friend, and you. And my question was, I said, well, if you got a man, would you do that for him? She's like, oh, heck no. And it just took me to say, you'll do it for the money, but you wouldn't do it for the love. And that's what I want to know when it comes to Cassie. All the things that she did for money or whatever, would it be wrong for her husband to ask for any of those things? And then she says no. What's the psychological part? And we don't have to answer now. For the man to say, man, and that's how men think. You do this, this, and this.
That's how some men think.
No, some men. A lot of men that say, hold up, you would do it for him, but you wouldn't even consider doing it for me.
She was being abused.
Say money. You said money. Let's just say money. All right, let's put that in. You'll do it for the money, but you won't do it for the love.
But let's talk about this. What man who is truly in love with his wife would even want his wife to do those things? So let's put that.
A bunch of corporate white dudes. We had Black Man Travels. He was like, he lived in Atlanta, and he was like, there's rich white dudes who just like to watch their woman get it from a buck. Oh, and
does he truly? Wait,
you in Atlanta? You done seen them Decadence clubs and guys?
Absolutely.
A whole bunch of
when you say what
Atlanta.
kind of man, there's men out there who.
But that's not a man who is truly in love with his wife. A man who is truly in love with his wife is there to also protect her. He is not going to put her in situations where the men are running trains on his wife in front of him. Come on, stop it. That doesn't even make any sense.
So you're saying those men who are together, or those in their corporate rich men who do those swingers clubs, they're not in love with their wife? Because when you hear them say it, they say, oh, this is the most love, that sex does not define us.
That is a lie. And those women, I promise you, they're replaceable.
Wow.
I promise you, those women are replaceable. And it's interesting that we're having this conversation because I've actually worked with individuals who have been in swinger type relationships, and it ain't all fun and games. There's some nonsense that pops off in these relationships and eventually it doesn't work. These are not I want you to bring a couple to me that has been married for 40, 50 years and engaged in swinger type relationships.
150. Are they still swinging? They might not be able to have it function.
It's not there. It's not.
But that's like me saying I want you to bring a couple to me who've been just married just because. I mean, it's difficult to find.
You're just talking about 50 Shades of Grey behavior. He's not really. He was never attached to that chick.
Correct.
It was but some people are married. And
they're not still married 40 and 50 years later. Trust and believe. You're not going to find a couple that engage in that type of behavior that are still married and have a healthy relationship. Stop it.
I will go hunt for.
Please.
A couple.
I might be able to say Ice-T and Coco because he was a pimp.
I'll go look for somebody out there that.
Please do.
Out there to trying to this there, but I've seen it. You know, people in swingers clubs. I've seen the people. I've seen. Then explain to me the prostitute. Then you know, because it's to them, they looked at it like I'll do this for the money, but not for a person.
Well, can we have another show? We done came up with 15 different segments tonight.
I hope you're writing all that down.
I haven't written down a thing. I just need a topic for 2 weeks from now.
So 2 weeks. Oh yeah. So I will not be available again until June 5th.
Okay.
We'll be till June 5th, and then June 5th we can talk about Cassie and Diddy.
Oh,
she should be off the stand and probably not had a third kid by then.
I want some serious promos by June 5th off of that because there's plenty of film right now, B-roll and everything for that.
There's a lot of fake stuff out there too. I got sucked into something today that I thought was legit and it was not. So, well, I'm. It's time for me to go to bed. But I thank you, gentlemen, for
giving the flowers to.
Yes.
Well, it was the first time I didn't feel like just emotionally exhausted after I left. So I appreciate it. You guys had some wonderful choices.
Shocking, I'm sure for you.
I know, I am shocked. Thank you for entertaining me. I know y'all tired of me.
We're gonna get it together. We're gonna find some good women for your friends. You know, do we get a commission off of that? You know, some of the people charging $10,000 just for dating.
I know. I'm really serious about this. I would like to.
You know, at one point, Kevin Samuels had a whole private group of people that he had introduced to each other, and said he had a couple marriages come out of it.
Mm-hmm. I think Dennis Sperling was one.
I mean, I would think that Kevin Samuels would have had more marriages come out of his show than Kendall G.
Yeah,
he had a Patreon and everything where they joined, and it was a high-end couple dating type of thing where he had, like you said, vetted them before they could be in the group.
Yeah. No delulus. We don't want any delusional people on the show. That is not okay. And it's just entertainment. It's like you're not really going to find anybody. That it is simply entertainment at that point.
Yeah.
So James said, I'm just curious because I want to have a show on this. Any man who is willing to share his wife has to know it is damaging to her. Those type don't know what love really is. All right. He used a word in there, and I just write this down. He said, any man willing to share his wife. Is that the same for a woman sharing her husband?
Yes. Oh.
So what do you mean when they have like them 3 wives or whatever it is? I don't know. You know, in Africa they have more
sister wives. Oh, though the polygamy.
Oh, yeah, and sister wives.
Yeah.
Sister wives, or just, you know, the guys over in Kenya or whomever have different families. So is that?
I mean, there's some cultures that they do it well. I've actually been very educated in that area recently, and probably, let me not pass judgment. It was a lot for me to take in.
Because they view it as family rearing, and not, you know, we view it as, to them it's economical.
Yeah.
I believe in I believe in spirits and energy, and I'm sorry, women take on a lot of energy when they sleep with men.
Yeah.
In a good way and in a bad way. So I don't think it's as reflective on men as it would be on a woman.
But then there's women who, I mean, there's women who are married, very wealthy, and they go to bed at night knowing that their husband is not going to come home, and they're okay with that because they are living the life.
Yeah, they don't want to be bothered. And who cares if somebody else is picking up her duties? She's still getting paid and she's happy.
Yep.
But that's a topic we're going to discuss. We greatly appreciate everybody tuning in to our late Mother's Day. Please, if you want to be like me, you go on Monday after Mother's Day. You can get your flowers for half off. Hey, you can. Just let you know. And they're not there.
I cannot.
He did not.
You got to go get them, guys. Don't be afraid to be cheap. Just say, get your Halloween candy, your Valentine's candy, all of that the day after.
You are not cheap.
Don't
do that to your wife. You are not cheap, dude.
She would have thrown those flowers in the trash.
Yeah, he is not a cheap guy. Don't believe that shit.
Oh, he is.
Oh, I'm cheap.
Oh, he is.
We freeze the flowers for Mother's Day to give them on another day.
You are so trifling. Okay, I'm going to bed.
All right.
Guys, we appreciate you tuning in. Make sure that we'll be back in like June 5th, 2 weeks from now.
With Thursday Night Therapy. On Lions Den, it could be a little different. And we might have a special hit and run coming up. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Y'all have a happy Memorial Day.
Yep. Hey, I'll probably see you.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll
be there
on Sunday of that day, that time.
All right. Well, hit us up.
What's that? You going out a little bit, Ronan? What you said?
I said, are you going down to Atlanta? Yeah, I got to fix this connection.
No, we going up north. I got to go up north.
Okay.
Yep. So we'll be up north. So y'all have a good one.
All right.
Peace out. Good night, everyone.
I know I've been quiet for a minute, I've been grinding, still in it, I've been counting these digits, excuse me. I know I've been quiet for a minute, but I'm back on my business. If you see me, don't trip, just excuse me. Wrong if I do, wrong if I don't. That's why I do me no matter what, so excuse me. Lie if I do, lie if I don't. The proof is in the story, take a seat and excuse me. The crash came when the cash came. Spend it for you get it like those rookies all on draft day. For the love like it's match game. Hit the ground running, really do it for my last name. They act different when the facts change. I'm not with the tip for tag games. In my own league, I don't chase game. In my own league, I don't hang with lanes. I know I've been quiet for a minute, I've been grinding, still in it, I've been counting these digits, excuse me. I know I've been quiet for a minute, but I'm back on my business. If you see me, don't trip, just excuse me. Wrong if I do, wrong if I don't. That's why I do me no matter what, so excuse me. Lie if I do, lie if I don't. The proof is in the story, take a seat and excuse me. Now how could that be? Talking about who can be talking about me? Feeling like stretch where I got all this reach. Feeling too blessed when I step on these